Okay, Shahara, would you like to welcome the group? And I will hand it off to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jess. I am excited to do the welcome and introduction here today. So, hello to everyone. My name is Shahara Byford, and I have been a part of Girls in the Game for several years. I am honored to be the current board chair of this wonderful organization. Girls in the Game is an organization that I am so passionate about because sports have been such a huge part of my life. And I learned so many skills like teamwork, leadership, communication that I use every day. And I am grateful that this organization gives these same opportunities and skills to young girls who might not otherwise have them. I want to thank you all for joining us during your lunch hour. We truly value your time and your partnership with Girls in the Game. And we are extremely excited and look forward to working with you over the next 3 years. To put today into perspective, the last time the organization had a full strategic plan launch was in 2015. We did a refresh of this plan in 2018, and then 2020 hit and everything changed. Today, we are thrilled to look forward again, forward to a future where girls can thrive both on the court and in their own communities, where girls can feel not just safe and heard by the adults in their lives, but empowered to take the lead and move forward. The process to create the strategic plan was collaborative, bringing together the Girls in the Game staff, the board of directors, partners, including some of you on this call today, parents and guardians, participants, and several others. I do want to thank all of those who participated in focus groups to discuss what makes Girls in the Game unique and how we can better meet the needs of those girls. The board and the staff took all of the information and drafted the strategic priorities, which were then refined to what you will see here today, presented by Girls in the Game senior staff. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please submit them through the chat and we'll address them during the Q&A at the end of the session. Now I'd like to hand it off to the Executive Director, Megan Morgan, to discuss the mission, vision, and values.
Thank you, Shahara. And thank you everyone for joining us during your lunch hour today. We appreciate your time. As Shahara said, I'm going to review the mission, vision, and values. And, to be honest, when we were starting the strategic planning process and, figuring out what our plan was going to be, I mean, we thought we were going to breeze right through the mission and vision. We had a mission and vision. We liked them. We didn't think we were going to spend a lot of time on them. But it turns out mission and vision are really important. And we did end up spending, a lot of time on them because the mission is what drives what we do. That's the force behind everything else that makes us Girls in the Game. And so we wanted to make sure that, our mission reflected not just who we are, but who we want to be. And we wanted a vision statement that really encompassed, the world that we want for girls. So our mission statement didn't end up changing a whole lot. We did a little bit of wordsmithing, but our mission statement is at Girls in the Game, every girl finds her voice, discovers her strength, and builds confidence through fun and active sports, health, and leadership programs. Our vision statement is brand new. And Girls in the Game empowers all girls to speak up, stand out, and inspire future generations. And that vision statement came out of so many conversations around, what do we want for girls when they're in our programs? Like, what do we want them to gain from our programs, and who do we want them to be after they finish with Girls in the Game? We also revisited our values, and some of the values stayed the same, but we changed most of them. We combined a few of them. The world is changing, and the world that girls are living in, especially in a post-COVID world, is very different than when we first wrote these values. And we wanted to make sure that our values were reflective of, what girls need and who we are as an organization. Our first value, we believe in the power of girls. Our girl-centered programs create a space for participants to discover and grow their strength and leadership. We nurture the whole girl. I mean, this isn't a huge important part of what Girls in the Game is. We don't just do sports, but we do sports, health, and leadership programs. And our goal is not to, help girls become fabulous Olympic athletes. It's amazing if that does happen, but we want them to grow into strong, confident leaders. So our programs encourage physical and emotional health and promote active minds, bodies, and hearts. We push for equity, recognizing the unique structural and institutional barriers that girls of color face. We prioritize girls in communities that need our programs the most. We think every girl could benefit from Girls in the Game, but we focus on girls who don't have other opportunities and girls that need Girls in the Game the most. We drive innovation. So we respond to the evolving needs of girls through data-driven practices, taking risks and boldly embracing change. As I've already said, the world the girls are living in has changed and will continue to change. And if we want to truly meet girls' needs, we need to, stay on top of that. We stand for inclusivity. So moving beyond the binary of girl, we welcome LGBTQ+ youth and gender expansive participants, regardless of gender identity or expression. This one is really important. This was not something that was in our values before. It's something that we've always done in practice. We believe that any girl who feels that they belong to Girls in the Game is welcome there. But we wanted to be sure that this was reflected in our values so that anyone who's looking at Girls in the Game and who we are knows that this is a part of who we are. And we create safe spaces. The whole idea behind safe spaces was something that came up over and over during our strategic planning process. We know that we need to provide that safe space for girls, physically, emotionally, so that they feel welcome in our program and it's a place where they belong. So collectively with participants, we design programs where girls are safe to be vulnerable, build resilience, and explore who they are and who they want to be. And so all of these values really drive our priorities and our goals and our action steps and everything that comes after. And you'll see them kind of reflected in everything else we talk about today. So I'm going to hand it off now to Hokebed, who is our senior program manager, and she will walk you through the first of our priorities.
Hello, everyone. So I'll go ahead and I'll be covering priorities 1 and 2. And then underneath each of them, I'm going to be also adding an action step, which is our specific and measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely goal. So I'll start with our first one. First priority is to making sure that our girls, making sure that our team is strengthened. And some of the things that we have underneath that is making sure that we are evaluating our coaching staff and also making sure that we're supporting the growth of them inside of Girls in the Game. Something that is very crucial for us during this time is that we have a presence implementing this in our social media so that we can focus on recruiting coaches. Super important because we have been having challenges getting coaches, and as that challenge arises, we also are limited in terms of how much we're able to serve girls and then the communities around the Chicago area, Bloomington and Baltimore as well. Our second goal is to continue developing and investing our full-time staff and making sure that we're keeping a positive work culture. This is something that we're going to be implementing by conducting an annual staff survey. Our third goal, exploring programming and career development options for alumni and people 18 to 24. This is something that we are already doing at Girls in the Game, but we want to formalize the way that we involve our alumni. We're going to do this by doing focus groups and making sure that we're keeping track of those things that our alumni are doing, how we can keep them engaged, and what other ways they can continue to be part of Girls in the Game past after participating with us in programming. So then for our second priority, we have revitalizing our community-based strategy. So then This is mostly focused towards making sure that we are reassessing our community strategy and ensuring that we're staying up to date. Everything changes, not only within our girls that we serve, but also the communities where they live and where they go to school. So we want to make sure that we are meeting the needs of those communities. And we want to do this similar to what we did with our What Girls Need. Now assessing similar to what we did in the West Side, replicating that and making sure that we can do the same thing in the South Side, and even in the next couple of years having a new hub there so that we can physically serve and be a better partner in those areas. Our second goal we have is to develop and process and identify, prioritize new communities that need us the most. Part of this is making sure that we are we're communicating and connecting with those partners. We're actually developing a community intake form where we're able to assess, what's the current landscape that they have, what they're offering, what's out there, and then also what are the gaps where we can come in and help serve the girls in those communities. And our third goal is to plan our community engagement and resource development strategy. So everything that we find out, all the data, making sure that we're not just collecting this data and knowing that there's gaps, but actually implementing everything that we have and making sure that we're able to come up with solutions and that Girls in Game can be part of that solution for those communities. I'll go ahead and I'll hand it off to Jess, who can speak for the last priorities.
Hello, good afternoon. I'll be covering the last two priorities. And priority 3 is very similar to priority 2. They kind of go hand in hand, but they were so big that we wanted to give them each their own section. And a lot of priority 3 came out of the findings from the What Girls Need Now report as well that we conducted in 2021 to 22. So this priority is to foster deeper collaboration. So we will expand our collaboration with partners to deepen access and reach for under-resourced communities and populations. Goal 1 is to expand our capacity to meet the needs of girls through partnerships with organizations and specialized expertise. So one action step under this goal is to create a list of topics where Girls in the Game needs an outside partner to come in and teach about those topics. It may be things that we're just not an expert in and need someone else to come in. Goal 2 is to expand programs outside of schools. We found through the What Girls Need Now report that a lot of participants attend school outside of their community. And so we want to make sure that we are also serving those girls in that community while continuing our school-based strategy. So one action step under that is to evaluate past outside of school partnerships, what worked and what didn't. And finally, goal 3 is very similar to priority 1, but just making sure that we're aligning our staffing strategy to address community need, conducting a comprehensive analysis of community need, and hiring coaches that meet those needs. And then priority 4 is kind of our most aspirational priority out of all of them, amplify girls' voices. So in case you didn't know, only 1.8% of funding in the US goes to women and girl serving organizations. And that's actually a decrease from the last time that they did this analysis, where it was 1.9%. So as a part of that, we will use data, our own expertise, and girls' perspectives to build greater awareness and support for their needs. Goal 1 under that is to partner with collaborators to increase awareness around girls' needs. One of the action steps under that goal is this presentation, this webinar right here. But we really want to partner with all the girl serving organizations in Chicago, whether they are co-ed or focused on girls, to just increase the dialogue around what girls need within our city. And then goal number 2, share our experiences and knowledge to build the visibility of the girl serving space. And that is really to use our own expertise, use what we've learned at Girls in the Game to talk more publicly, whether that be to communities, to politicians, to other organizations about what girls in Chicago need. So one of the action steps under that is to increase opportunities for staff, board, and auxiliary members to speak publicly about Girls in the Game and the challenges and opportunities facing girls, not just Girls in the Game's programs, but what in general do girls need in Chicago. So that is the Amplify Girls Voices priority. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to one of our regional coordinators, Abby Delgado. Abby's new role as a regional coordinator is part of the strategic plan, especially under priority 2. We reassigned our coordinators to be geographically based so that they can build long-term relationships with the communities that they serve, instead of being spread out all over the city. So she's going to share a bit more about her role, her story with Girls in the Game, and then finally we'll break for any questions that you may have.
Okay, perfect. So again, my name is Abby Delgado, and I'm basically the North Side Regional Coordinator. We have different assigned people. One's gonna be in the North, South, and West mix. I've actually been working on the logistics of the regional coordinator from last year, but it was a different type of position, so I'm a little bit more experienced of what this position is for. Basically, my responsibilities, my job tags is to get into contact with school sites to get into if they're interested in after school programming, reach out to new schools or schools that we had previously worked with last year. I asked them all like what time, what day, location, all the information, the basic logistics of programming. Then my other responsibility is to contact coaches too, to see if they're willing to coach at the site. It could be up to 2 to 3 coaches, depending on how many participants the school has. And then lastly, once I got the site contact and the coaches' information, all of that passed, then I had to work on getting all the participants' informations, like their intakes, the permission slips submitted. And not only that, after we got the coaching assignments, everything like that, I also had to make sure to inform the site contact any events that we may have, like big events. Like recently we had the fall day of play, and I was just promoting our fall day of play with the site contacts and the participants we have after school. Not only that I work about making sure that coaches have their sites, schools are ready to go, and we have enough participants on each sites. I also coach in some certain sites, so majority of the sites that I do, I am in charge of the regional coordinator. I'm actually coaching there already too, so it's really hands-on. And this has been way better than years before, because I believe we only had technically like 3 people working on this job positions. Now we have 4, and we're all working together, and it's definitely way less stress-free. It helps us with our organization skills and time management skills. Perfect. Should I jump it back to Jess?
I can go ahead and take it, actually. Thanks, Abby. I'm Dawn Coble. I'm the Director of Development at Girls in the Game, and I will be handling the last few minutes of our presentation, which is our Q&A. So if you have any questions, please take a second, put them in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. If we don't get to you, as we are trying to be mindful of time, we will reach out to you individually with any answers. I'm going to start off. Can our panelists all come back on screen, come back on camera, just to make it a little bit smoother? First question we have, kind of getting back to our looking forward towards collaboration. I'm going to direct this towards Megan, I think. What types of new partners are we looking for, and what kind of support could they offer?
Well, I'm assuming we're talking about program partners, right? So I think, there's a few different ways. Like, and first, let me make it clear that we're not planning to stop having programs in schools. CPS is a fantastic partner. It's where most of our programs are, and we don't see that changing. What we want to do is expand the partnership so we can add additional programs at community sites. So, think like a YMCA or a Boys and Girls Club, or, we already work with the park districts, but building on the relationship we have with the park districts, expanding more of our programs to places in communities where youth are that are not schools. I think Jess mentioned when she was talking that one of the things that we found in our What Girls Need Now report is that a lot of families aren't sending their kids to schools in the community where they live. And so if we're trying to reach kids in a certain community, schools are not the only way for us to do that. So that is how we're trying to look to expand like our program site partnerships. I think the other piece of it is in looking to meet all of the needs of girls. We recognize that while we are experts in a lot of things, we are not experts in everything. And so some of those needs are better met by us partnering with another organization. Planned Parenthood is an example of that. If we're looking to make sure that teens have, access to all of the education that they need around, sexual and reproductive health, then maybe we partner with Planned Parenthood to come in and lead a few sessions. There are so many great organizations in Chicago doing work with youth that we know we can be stronger working together with them instead of all of us operating in silos.
I will direct the next one to Alicia and Hokabed both. In looking towards kind of deepening impact on the South Side, are there specific areas of the South Side that you're looking to go into?
Yes, so I think one of the areas, sorry, feedback. So a few the South Side areas, I think we're just trying to get more into the South Side. So that's near South and far South. We have a coordinator currently designated for that area. And currently her role is trying to find universities and different Job Corps programs or anything along those lines where we can find coaches from the area to be able to go out and coach. Because currently right now, that's one of the areas that we're still trying to staff up, is the near and far South Side. Because Southwest, we're pretty good. We have our clusters of schools that we have currently each year. But going a little further south is one of those areas that we're trying to still be a little bit more strategic as to where to find staff so we can get into those like a Roseland or a Pullman that don't necessarily have a lot of access to our kind of programs.
Mhm.
Thanks. So taking a look at this being planned for the next 3 years, there's a question about how much of this planning process was impacted by changes that may have been seen during COVID, and kind of how that has framed everything that all the discussions that were happening as we were going into the planning process. Can anyone on the panel speak to that?
I can go unless you want to, Jess. I mean, I think one of the things that we saw during COVID was that communities that were already struggling were hit hardest by it. So I'm not sure. I think some of the issues that came from COVID, especially the not being in school and, the isolation were certainly new issues. But I think a lot of the issues facing, communities that have been historically disinvested, like issues like, poverty and violence, access to, healthy food, things like that. Those were issues that already existed and were made worse by COVID.
Thank you. Well, we are getting very close to 12:30, so I am going to go ahead and turn it back to Megan or Jess, one of you, to go ahead and wrap it up and thank everyone for your time today and joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, Dawn. And thank you all of us for joining today. We will have a recording available. So if you know someone else who wanted to come and wasn't able to make it, we'll send that out to all of you and feel free to pass it along. And feel free to reach out to any of us or all of us with, any questions that you might have after this. We will have, the strategic plan available on our website. We'll send that out to all of you. And I know Shahira said this in the beginning, but I know many of you who are on the call were involved in the strategic plan or have just been longtime, supporters and friends of Girls in the Game. And none of this would be happening without all of you. So we appreciate you being on our team and, look forward to working with you more in the future.